Hello friends, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to explain how we can test the registration form. Okay? So basic things we need to check. Like whenever we are getting any testing functionality, we need to check the basic things. So what will be the basic things we need to check? I have told you today for in this video. Okay? So right now I'm showing the form like this is the sample new customer registration form. Okay. So for this form, whenever we are getting any functionality to test, some basic things we need to check. So it's all about the test cases we are writing. Whenever we are writing the test case, this should be covered. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how we can test this form. Okay. So first this is the test cases I have already written. So we will verify this everything in this form. Okay. So first thing is to check all fields are clickable. So in this scenario, in this test cases, we need to check whether all fields are clickable or not. Okay, you can see over here whenever I'm hovering on that particular fields, it is getting highlighted. Okay, so this kind of a thing which is we need to check firstly while we are testing. Okay, so we can show you the phone number, the email address, and how this field and feedback field it's getting highlighted whenever we are moving our cursor. Okay, now next is about to check spelling of each field. This is the basic thing we need to check. Like, sorry, each field contains each will contain the proper spelling. Okay, so like full name, most of the time developers has not been mentioned or not been test checked whether we are and they are adding the field name as correctly or not. So as a tester, we got a job to check whether every field contains a proper spelling. Okay, this is a basic thing we need to check. Okay, now next test case is about to check field name tag for each field. Means this field having what tag, like full name. Full name you are adding the first name and the last name. This is the tag of that particular field. Okay, for the address you can see you can add street address, line 2, city, state, zip code. Okay, for the phone number you can see over here format of email address. You can see over here the example given for the email address. Okay, and how this is kind of thing we need to check for that particular field as a tag. Okay, now next is about to check mandatory fields contain asterisk mark. This is the basic thing we need to check all the fields which are which are mandatory, those having the asterisk mark like this. Okay, now next is validation of each field. So this is the basic thing we need to check. As I said, a validation for each and every field, like this field is required, so this field is required, so validation should be here. Once we are not adding any validation, that should be displayed. Okay, so address, this is the phone number, is the mandatory field, needs to be added. Okay, so now next is to check on the first and last name field except only single line text. So single line text is all about whatever the fields has been given for the first name and last name, the full name of every form. Okay, so that should be a single liner. That should not allowed me to add a multiple text. Okay, just like I'm adding my name, Resha. So this is the thing. Okay, now you can see the validation also remove once I add the valid data in this field. Okay, now best next thing is address. Address should be a multi-liner field. Address will be like multi-liner field means what? Whatever the address, it should not be a single liner. It should be a more than 100 liners. So as you know, address is a multiple multiple characters in address. So that should be allowed me. Okay. So next, what I can say, the next is the check the format of the phone number and email address. Means we are checking the format of phone number and mail address. It should be always, as I say, we are checking the form, like phone number should having the format like as for the Indian we are like 9 plus 91. This is the code, country code, and then 10 digit of our mobile number. So what phone number will be like this only. Okay. So email address will be valid, like suppose we are adding the test at the rate gmail.com. Okay, so I'm not adding the .com, I'm adding something like this, no only. So it will show me the enter valid email address, the valid email address. Okay, so now I'm adding valid email address. So you can see over here valid email address. I'm adding the number. Okay, I'm adding the valid number. Okay, so next is about the drop down of field will be the single text. Most of the forms does not having this drop down values. So we did not want we most of the times it is not a valid that every form contains the drop down values. So for this form we have having the one drop down value, like how do you hear about us. For this you can see over here there are multiple options like newspaper, internet, magazine, and others. Okay, so whenever this should be this kind of drop downs is there, user should only select one, not the multiple things. Okay, so these kind of needs to be tested first. And whenever we are changing any for drop down values, it should be changed immediately. Okay, so this kind of a thing for the drop down we need to check. Now to check the feedback about us will be multi-layer. As I told you, I have getting the sample form to test whether that's why I have mentioned over here the feedback form, feedback field. So feedback field having the multi-liner, that is not a necessary or mandatory thing like feedback or something like option will be available on the your form. If it is available, then we need to check whether this kind of a field will be multi-liner field. Okay, feedback is good. So these are the basic things we need to check for the whenever we are registering any form. Okay. Or we are testing any form, registration form for that particular functionality. So whenever we are whenever we are testing, we need to check this basic thing. Okay, thank you.